The higher your net worth, the higher the value of your existence, the bigger the security detail. World leaders, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and even a former Soviet leader are guarded by an entourage of security experts on a daily basis, and absolutely no expense is ever spared. But just how well trained are their guards? How many bodyguards do the rich and famous have? And how much does it cost to be watched over like a golden egg-laying hen? 20 million? 50 million? Or does it cost more in the vicinity of 100 million US dollars? And how many bodyguards were assigned to a well-known celebrity couple's newborn baby in 2012? It makes perfect sense for the president of any given country to be guarded by security forces day in and day out, right? After all, it would be a great catastrophe if something were to happen to, for instance, Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, or Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany. But other well-known people such as Mark Zuckerberg, Pope Francis, Beyoncé, and her hubby Jay-Z aren't far behind when it comes to having top-class security detail. And just wait until you hear about the last person on our list. You would never have guessed. First up, let's take a look at the extensive security detail of the former US President Donald Trump and current POTUS Joe Biden. Former President Donald Trump is currently one of the most protected billionaires in the world. He has well over 1,000 bodyguards at his disposal. Granted, they aren't all on duty at the same time, but it's still a pretty excessive number of guards to have. Trump's annual protection budget reportedly comes in at around 120 million US dollars. He also uses the Beast for transportation. The vehicle is said to be the most secured car in the world and is even bomb-proof. As for Joe Biden himself, well, he is protected by the Secret Service. Towards the end of 2020, Biden also had his detail changed to include several senior Secret Service agents, ones who reportedly protected him and his family during his time serving as vice president. Pope Francis is another heavily guarded public figure, and understandably so. Not only does the Pope live in one of the most heavily armored cities in the world, Vatican City, a city-state by Rome, Italy, but he is also protected by the Swiss Guard, which, in case you didn't know, is the longest standing military in the whole world, having been formed over 500 years ago. Even as you walk through the Vatican streets, you are greeted, or stared at rather, by stoic guards dressed in antiquated armor carrying equally dated spears. But if you thought their weapons of choice are a little too outdated to be effective, then think again. The Swiss Guard is a high-end military force made up of top ex-Swiss soldiers who can subdue a threat in mere seconds. Plus, they aren't armed with only spears, they also have the finest collection of firearms hidden away in case the need arises. In March this year, the Pope traveled to Iraq and was escorted by a group of men known as the world's smallest army. They could be seen near the Pope at all times, wearing eccentric, brightly colored uniforms. And while this colorful combat unit may practice traditions that are centuries old, their equipment and training are constantly updated to meet new challenges that may arise. For instance, they are rumored to carry tear gas and firearms for use in emergency situations. Mark Zuckerberg is another public figure who takes his personal safety very seriously. Since 2015, he has reportedly spent no less than 20 million US dollars on security. Around 7.3 million of that has been spent on his personal bodyguards. So, you just know they aren't exactly your typical Joes. Zuckerberg Secret Police, as they are referred to, consist of 16 full-time guards who work in shifts to protect their master around the clock. In 2020 alone, Facebook reportedly spent 23 million US dollars on personal security at Zuckerberg's various residences and for travel for him and his family. He also got an additional 10 million to put towards security personnel and other security costs. There is even a rumor that he has an escape hatch in his office. End-to-end encrypted, we presume. Queen Bee, Beyoncé on the other hand, has actually had a security breach in the past, so we suppose her over-the-top security detail can be excused. Speaking of royalty, be sure to stick around for more on Queen Elizabeth II's security detail. But before we tell you more, remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. After an incident in Brazil back in 2013, where an overly excited fan grabbed and nearly pulled Beyoncé off the stage, Jay-Z decided he wasn't going to wait and see how bad things can actually get. He immediately whipped out his wallet and hired an additional 5 personal bodyguards for his superstar wife. They are all former intelligence officers and work alongside her existing 5 bodyguards. And no, Jay-Z didn't stop there. He reportedly also bought 2 bomb-proof Latvia SUVs, the same protective military-grade vehicles used by former US presidents. Even their children are guarded around the clock. Blue Ivy is taken to school in West Hollywood in a motorcade that consists of 2 cars and 3 bodyguards. Even at the now 9-year-old's birth, the celebrity power couple took no chances. Jay-Z spent a reported $1 million on securing the hospital where the first child was born. Her maternity suite was blocked off from everyone else. Staff members had to leave their phones at home, and all CCTV cameras were blocked for their entire stay. The moment Blue Ivy was born, she was assigned 2 guards to accompany her wherever the nurses took her. Moving on swiftly to the British monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. While she herself is by far the most heavily guarded out of all the royals, it is estimated that about 100 million British pounds are spent every year on around-the-clock security for 21 members of the royal family, with a large chunk of that presumably allocated to her safety and security. Remember, not only is she the one wearing the crown, but should she still be reigning by 2022, she will become the first UK monarch to celebrate a Platinum Jubilee. She is currently the first UK monarch to celebrate a Sapphire Jubilee, which marked her 65-year reign back in 2017. The Queen herself is typically guarded by the Royal Guard, and while they might not look very intimidating, we can assure you, they are not to be messed with. They are fully trained operational soldiers, and most have been deployed to combat zones at some point in their careers. Each guard is handpicked from 5 different infantry regiments and identified by the various details of their uniform, such as button spacing, color badges, and the plumes in their bearskin caps. Of course, the type of security around the Queen of England also differs depending on her mode of transportation. For instance, when she travels by sea, she is guarded by naval forces and an entire navy fleet. While at ceremonial occasions, she is guarded by a guard of the Honorable Corps of Gentlemen at Arms. Have you ever wondered why someone as incredibly serious as the Queen of England always wears such bright colors? Turns out, it has to do with her security. Royal insiders say it is done as a strategic move to ensure she is always visible and easily spotted even in larger crowds. While we've already mentioned the 5 most heavily guarded people in the world, we thought we'd throw in a little bonus point. And seeing that our next point doesn't really cover a person as such, we thought we'd leave it till last. It would seem that in Russia, it's not only the living that requires security forces to watch over them. The body of Vladimir Lenin has been on display at Lenin's tomb, which is situated on Red Square in the center of Moscow for the past 97 years, and has also been guarded 24/7 for the entire time. Lenin, a former Soviet leader, died of an incurable disease of the blood vessels in January 1924. His body has been on public display since shortly after his passing, with only a few exceptions during wartime. It's rumored that the soldiers are told that Lenin's body is the most important thing that Russia has, hence they are expected to guard it with their lives. Would you choose to work as a bodyguard for any of these heavily guarded people, or do you think the measures taken to protect them are a little over the top?